This video discusses the purpose of loop commands and demonstrates how to program your bot to loop through the data in your table variable, tPopcorn, one row at a time. Loop commands help you perform a set of actions repeatedly until a criteria has been met. For example, you could program a loop to run actions a certain number of times, such as perform these same actions 10 times. You could also program a loop command to run until it reaches the end of a text file, Excel spreadsheet, list, SQL query dataset, or table variable. You could also program a loop to loop through all files in a folder, or each folder in a folder, or through each email in an email box. Now that we have our data assigned to a table variable, we will work through the data one row at a time. So we will need a loop command. Our loop command will program our bot to loop through our data in the tPopcorn table variable one row at a time. To find the loop command, first let's go ahead and close up our CSV text commands. And now we are going to navigate down the action menu until we find the word loop. Go ahead and click once to expand the loop, and then find the loop command and double click. Since we were last at our CSV text close command, we would find the loop command appear right below it. If we scroll down a little bit, you can see that the loop command has a box automatically appearing in the flow view. Any action placed inside the loop box will be repeated. Any actions outside of the box, such as our previous actions or any actions that we want to have come below, will not be repeated by the loop. Because of this, the placement of commands becomes very important. You have to think about whether you want your command to be repeated for each step in the loop, or whether you want the step to be completed before or after the loop. We need to configure our loop just as we do with any other action that we place onto the workbench. To configure the loop, let's begin by verifying that the iterator button is selected. We could put in a condition variable as well, but we're going to use an iterator. The iterator tells the loop how many times to repeat the actions that follow inside the loop box. The default that appears is to have the loop repeat for n times, and in this case, it is a default of 10 times. If the size of the data set isn't going to change, you could maintain this default and put the number 1.6 million in this box. But it's unlikely that the data set, especially one based on sales, would remain consistent from period to period. As such, we probably want to have an iterator that is more flexible in its design than one that relies on a specific number of times. Fortunately, A2019 provides us with many options for helping the bot identify how many times a series of commands should be completed in a loop. In the iterator box, go ahead and click on the down arrow to see your options. As mentioned earlier, there are a variety of ways to make the loop dependent on data sets, actions, or other criteria. We are working with a data table. Remember, our data table is tPopcorn. So we want to go under the data table heading, and we want to select for each row in a table. In the table variable box now, we need to tell it what table variable it should be looping through. So we're going to again click on the down arrow, and we're going to find our tPopcorn table. If you would like it to assign the current row to a particular variable, then you're going to use the assign the current row to this variable. We don't have a variable yet for our rows, but this will be very useful because as we loop through the data one row at a time, we'd like to pass the data in for a specific row, call the data out by that row, and then perform the action on that row. So we're going to go ahead and click on the magic wand to create a variable, and we're going to create a row variable. This is a record type variable, so we're going to have R in front of the word row. We can go ahead then and create and select our row variable, and then we can click on apply. And we've added a loop to our data workflow. Now we can go ahead and save our bot. What we've done is now any action we place inside the loop box will be repeated for each row in our data table tPopcorn.